What's up, sports fans? Welcome back to In the Huddle. Got the usual lineup of Ethan and Chad back here, but today we got a special guest star, Ian Cullen.
Thank you, Ethan. It's a pleasure to be here. Big fan of the show, so it's an honor to be on here. Let's get discussing. Chad, I think that you'd like to start us off.
Yeah, first off, guys, I just want to address, we apologize. Me and Ethan know it's been a long time since we've put out any content. We've both just been busy. We've been working. We've been trying to make sure that we get the right podcast for the people. So with that being said, we feel like today we got the right crew, we got the right topics, so we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to start with Summer League. NBA Summer League just finished up maybe about 2 weeks ago. Portland Trailblazers won it. I know no one really cares who wins, but Portland did win it. Let's talk about some of the rookies and some of the guys that stood out though in Summer League. Ian, you're the guest, so why don't you go ahead and tell us first who you thought really stood out to you, who impressed you?
Yeah, so I'm addressing the casual NBA viewer right now. I didn't watch every game, nor did I even watch like 2 games. But I will tell you, I'm very excited for a couple matchups. Obviously, if you don't know me, I'm a big Duke fan.
Just cover up that VTech, as you're saying.
And so, naturally, what we'll cover first is the 21st pick overall, Grayson Allen. I'm very excited to see him and Donovan Mitchell and Utah together. I think preseason rankings they were number 7.
Something like that, yeah.
And
they were very high.
yeah, I'm very excited to see that. Obviously, Colin Sexton at the Cavs. I know Ethan's a big fan of that, being a Cavs fan. I think that as a college guy, I think that this is probably for NBA the most excited that I've ever been. And I think it was a great summer league. A lot of potential. Certainly,
Definitely.
with a lot of guys that we didn't see, Luka Doncic and
Sure.
Marvin Bagley, I think, got injured. I didn't really see what he did a whole lot for the Kings.
Dunked all over the Lakers in the first game and then got hurt.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, you definitely mentioned Sexton. Ethan, I know you want to go ahead and talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, don't really know too much about him other than 20 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds during Summer League. Obviously, not the most well-rounded stat line for Summer League, but then again, we now have a terrible team, and also he's more of a scoring guard anyway, not really a Lonzo Ball type of distributor slash rebounder. So very excited about him. Like Ian and Chad said, Luka Doncic, another one I'm very excited about. One I'm excited to see, but not to do well is Trae Young.
Oh,
He
now I can back you up on it. Go ahead.
he had a very high numbers in college with a very low efficiency rating. He's got to jack up as many shots he wanted at Oklahoma, and I'm just interested to see how the Hawks, since they're going to be pretty bad this year, I'm excited to see if he's going to get to play the same way kind of that he was at Oklahoma, or if he's going to really have to adapt to more of an NBA type of offense and NBA type of system.
Yeah, I really like talking about Trae Young. I like the system that he's in Atlanta. Their new GM, Travis Schlenk, he's in his first year as the GM. He's really looking to build. Now, just take a breath when I say this, and let me explain. He was a former assistant GM for Golden State. He's trying to build a Golden State-like system for Atlanta. Now, I'm not saying that Trae Young is a Steph Curry-like point guard, but he has the potential to have Steph Curry-like range at the next level. Say what you want about his efficiency and all that, but those are the same questions they were having about Curry coming out of college. The one thing, though, with Young that I would say is promise, or not. I don't want to say nothing's guaranteed with a prospect. But one thing with him that I love is his ability to pass. He has the vision that his vision gets overlooked a lot because of how good of a shooter he is and how good of a scorer overall. But I feel like his ability to create offense for others, his ability to set up other teammates. I mean, he averaged 9 assists last year at Oklahoma. I don't think he had 2 teammates who could dribble more than 3 times.
But do you feel like that could have been also due to the fact that defenses recognize basically from the tip-off that they're going to get this guy the ball and they want him to shoot every time he gets it?
For sure. I mean, he's definitely the focal point of every defense. But, I mean, if you look up and down the Atlanta roster right now, he's going to be that way in the NBA as well. So I feel like he'll be able to have just as much success distributing the ball. The scoring struggles we saw in Summer League, he had a couple great games. He had a couple games where he was not good at all. So He definitely rode those ups and downs. And I think he's going to continue to ride them all through his rookie year.
How many 2 for 25 games are we looking at this year?
There are going to be a couple. I'm not going to lie. There are going to be a couple. There are going to be a couple. Ian, one thing I wanted to ask you about, as you were talking about the Grayson Allen fan, him and Donovan Mitchell, I've always looked at Mitchell as more of a setup guard, more of a two. Do you think him and Grayson Allen can play in the backcourt together? Do you think they have to run like a 3-guard system with them?
And what does this mean with Rubio?
Yeah, exactly.
What does this mean with Rubio?
Now, it's interesting that you bring that up because this past year at Duke, Grayson Allen really, he wasn't that scorer that you saw him. He was very passive. Obviously, having Wendell Carter and Marvin Bagley, both like at his disposal, he was more of that setup guard.
Yeah.
Now, I will go back to when Marvin Bagley got injured. And Grayson Allen put up some big numbers.
He did start going off.
He proved that he could score.
Yeah.
Now, for him to, it's all about adjusting in the NBA. It's a completely different game. So, together, I think that they would need a third guard.
Okay.
A third guard for that.
Like a Ricky Rubio type.
Yeah,
Set up both of
and
them.
I think so. But you never know. Like Grayson's game, as well as Donovan Mitchell, we've only seen him for a year, are still developing.
No doubt. No doubt.
So that will be that'll be very interesting to see because obviously both players are so pivotal.
Yeah, they're definitely both key cornerstone to the Utah Jazz future and their success.
It's
so.
maximizing, like getting the most out
Yeah,
of them.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. The only thing I worry about with Allen, if they're playing in a 3-guard set, I just worry about him or Mitchell being able to guard small forwards. You know, you're going to look up, and they're going to be nights you're going against, you know, the LeBrons, the Kevin Durants, the Jason Tatums. Not putting him in the same category as those guys,
but he's that same
that's
big
that 6'8", 6'9", small forward
who can handle the ball as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's again, it's a different game than college.
Yeah.
And
So, it'd be interesting to see how those guys work together. Anything else y'all want to talk about Summer League?
Yeah, well, not really as Summer League goes, maybe how their performances, but Chad, as our basketball expert, kind of on the show. What do you think of the, maybe not the highlighted picks, the marquee picks, maybe like a late first round or a second round pick that maybe we can look, so that maybe since he's playing in a good system for him, could make some noise?
I tell you one guy who I really liked was Mitchell Robinson, actually. He was a center, was supposed to go to Western Kentucky, never enrolled, just didn't feel like the system was right for him. Ended up just working out the whole year to improve his draft stock. Ended up getting drafted, I think 39th by the New York Knicks. He's one of those modern NBA bigs. Likes to run, jump, dunk, and block shots, rebound. Real long, athletic guy. Very young, still only 19 years old. And he put up some big numbers, rebounding, defense-wise, and scoring the ball in Summer League. So I feel like if he is able to develop his body and continue to grow his mind, especially on the defensive end, that he can kind of be that pivotal center that the Knicks can use. Because I feel like him and Porzingis in the middle, be able to block a lot of shots and contest a lot of shots. And if you put them two with Kevin Knox, their first-round pick, all of a sudden it looks like you have a front court that can. I mean, obviously right now we're getting way ahead of ourselves saying that they could be perennial all-stars, but I feel like they could have a legitimate front line with those three.
What about your team's first-round selection? How are you feeling about him?
Man, Washington, we drafted Troy Brown Jr., 15th overall from Oregon. Not many people know a lot about him. He was a first-team All-Pac-12 freshman performer. He's a very versatile player, but the one thing that impressed me a lot about him in Summer League was his ability to score, and score pretty efficiently. He averaged 19 points a game in the Summer League, and he was doing it on about 47-48% from the field. For a perimeter player, that's pretty good. He's been kind of compared to an Andre Iguodala type. Not necessarily the same defender yet, not the same ball handler yet, and doesn't obviously have the mind because, I mean, Iggy's one of the smartest players in the game. But he can be that Swiss Army knife that Washington needs. We need wing depth, and I feel like he'll be able to provide it for us this year and then continue to grow, kind of the same way Kelly Oubre Jr. did over these past couple of years.
Will he be wearing any Supreme leg sleeves, do you think, like Kelly Oubre?
Nah, none of that. None of that.
Anything else that we have about Summer League? Or
I'm not even gonna pretend that I even watched the draft after Grayson Allen was picked. So I think Chad, our basketball expert, went in depth more than I could ever dream of. So,
I appreciate that.
Props to you.
So are we moving swiftly along?
I think that we are.
Yep.
World Cup recap. Now this is Ethan and I's bread and butter right here. So
I watched at least some of probably 90% of the games.
Just for the record, I watch almost every game as well. I just don't know the game as much as them. Just for the record.
So we, if you don't know, we went into this pretty unscripted. So gonna be kind of a choppy.
So should we start individuals or teams, or where do you think we should start?
I say we start with the team that you enjoyed watching the most.
Okay.
I'll start. I know this is gonna be a little, very disagreeable.
Okay.
Controversial.
Controversial. That's the word I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted Russia to do. Once I saw Russia play against
I don't think that's controversial.
Saudi Arabia. Well, because a lot of the people I've talked to when I say Russia, I like watching them was, oh, they did nothing but sit back in the big games and they did nothing but defend and this, that, and the other. But Alexander Golovin, the young midfielder who just signed for Monaco for 30 million pounds, I think, or euros, somewhere around there. He looked incredible the whole tournament.
Yes.
He was running the show for. I mean, like I said, Russia was doing a lot of defending, but when they had anything going forward, it was always into his feet. Whether he was dribbling, passing, shooting, he had a brilliant free kick in the opener against Saudi Arabia. Yeah. I mean, he's a really talented player. I'd always heard about him because of multiple things, FIFA articles, whatever, anything like that.
Transfer rumors.
Yeah, exactly. I'd heard about him, but I'd never watched him play. Yeah. But he's kind of an interesting player to me just because of how athletic he is. Because a lot of good midfielders that play right in behind the striker are normally very small, very nimble. They're good at getting from point A to point B, but they're not actually fast. Once he got in behind back lines and was able to run at people, he's very fast, very direct. He was able to beat one or two people, play that key pass, or beat one or two people and get a shot. And so he was very interesting to me. I like to watch Russia pretty much solely for him, and also to watch that 38-year-old center back like Ignashevich try to defend with his corpse out there and score that own goal against Spain, which was a very entertaining game. That's actually their Croatia game, in my opinion, was the second most entertaining game I watched the entire World Cup.
I missed that one on a car ride.
Russia-Croatia was so much fun. I mean,
it was a heavy statement right there.
That
was a heavy statement.
It got toward the end of both,
two extra time goals.
Exactly.
I believe. Yeah.
Once it got to the end of the 90 minutes and then to the end of each half of extra time, it was just back and forth, shot, chance created, save, near miss, stuff like that. And Mario Fernandez with the clutch goal in the 117th minute or something crazy like that. Fortunately, he missed the goal in the penalty shootout. But you know, the fact that Russia, who was the lowest ranked nation in the entire tournament at 70th or something, you can really see that when a nation gets behind a team and when a team really plays
in front of that home crowd.
Yeah, when they feel the belief of know that they're playing for an entire nation.
Yeah,
you can really see how far they can go. They were really entertaining to me.
Now, for me, I actually have two that I want to pick, and the first one, I have the England shirt on. I have to go with England.
Were they fun to watch though?
They were. For me personally, I thought that was the question at hand. I love Marcus Rashford. I love all of that.
Didn't have a great
talent.
tournament, did he?
I love that.
Now,
Rashford and Sterling, that's another controversy for another topic.
Okay.
I think I would have to disagree. I think if you watch Marcus Rashford on the ball,
he's very good at going at people.
The stuff that he creates, just again by going at people, love that. For me, I can't knock Southgate for starting Raheem Sterling, but maybe as a United fan, again, I'm probably not very popular with Grayson Allen and Manchester United. I think that he brought, and maybe again it was a substitute because they seem to bring that spark off the bench. But watching him was so exciting, and watching this team that receives the bad end of a lot of
criticism from their own fans.
Criticism and let's take John Stones for example. John Stones, did he have a fantastic World Cup?
No.
Not really, but I don't think that anybody, whether it's coming home or anything like that, all of that banter, I certainly never believed that they would make it to the Final Four and be playing for third place.
Especially with a team so young.
Yeah.
I felt for John Stones in that last game when he allowed that. Like, he single-handedly shut off and allowed that goal against Croatia. I kind of felt for him because he, like you said, even had a pretty decent tournament. Because that was basically the big question mark is how are they going to be able to defend? And him and Harry Maguire did very, very well.
Yeah.
And then he got beat on that, and I was just like, John.
And let's not leave out Jordan Pickford.
He was amazing.
Yeah,
he was amazing.
Absolutely stunning. For England, definitely they don't get that far without him.
That penalty save against Colombia.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That definitely were they the most exciting team. I think is what I'm about to bring up. But staying on England for a second, I think for me, like having always just grown up watching them, it was very fun to watch them for me personally, because for so long England has just like they haven't performed,
right?
Especially in
major tournaments,
exactly.
The past 10, 15 years.
So yeah, that was just that was my team, and now I think that personally, and this is more like going forward and attacking. France, another very cliche pick for really the main
sole reason watching Mbappe play.
Exactly, and he was, I thought, player of the tournament.
I think if he wasn't 19, he would have won player of the tournament.
I think that he was player of the tournament, and I think that there's a lot of going into the tournament. Obviously, these players, the Ronaldo, Messi, they have like these reputations. I think he started to build one. He really started to build an international reputation in this tournament with 4 goals. I think Thierry Henry at 19 had 3 in the World Cup, I believe. And if you watch him, I mean, you can't defend him one-on-one. He was just too quick and getting around players. What he creates just solely off of his speed.
The thing to me, just as a casual soccer fan that you look for, because I mean you look for it in all sports when you see young guys playing on big stages.
Yeah.
Is he never looked to be afraid of the moment, or he never looked to play. He never played anything besides his game. Like he was always doing stuff within his skill set, never trying to do too much, never trying to put the team on his back.
Yeah.
But it just organically, he just showed that he was the best player out there pretty much every time he took the pitch.
The thing that happened with Mbappe was, over these past about 2 years since he broke out of Monaco last season, was they've been saying, oh, he's so great at this for a teenager. He's a great goal scorer as a teenager. He's a great dribbler as a teenager. He's so fast as a teenager. People thrown that teenager part aside. There are so many commentators, sports journalists, stuff like that. They legitimately believe, and I believe it too, that he's one of the probably top 10, 15 best players in the world right now.
He was named on the short list for the best
football.
Exactly.
Best
and it's just like,
yeah.
And I saw him in an interview the other day. They asked him, they said, who do you think is going to win the award? And he said, or who do you think the front runners are to win the award? Before the even short list came out, he said, Modric, Ferran. He's kind of giving nods to them. Messi, Ronaldo, they're great. And then me, because he just, like Chad said, when you see him on the ball, he's not like, oh, I'm only 19, I'm playing in the biggest tournament in the world. He's saying, no, I can beat you, and I can beat you, and I can beat you. I mean, that second goal he scored against Argentina, where he just picked up the ball about like 30 yards from goal, goes past like 2 or 3 and sticks it bottom corner, far post. It was just like, I've never seen. And it's just funny to think that he's literally like our age.
A year older.
Yeah, he's a year older than us, and he can do that, and it's just like watching him play is just.
Yeah, you touched on just about everything on him, but I think as well, France is just, even moving forward, they're still very young.
Yeah.
I mean, even in their midfield, Paul Pogba is still very young, very controversial player. For me, I think that he is. I'm not gonna say a top 3, top 5, but I don't think that he is nearly. He doesn't deserve the criticism that he takes. I think that on the ball, there was that one pass to Mbappe
in the final.
And it was. I mean, he does stuff. He may not score bangers every game. I mean, he managed to get one in the finals, but between him, Conte, obviously the fan favorite, with the smile and everything like that. Ethan, what's wrong?
Never been the biggest fan of Conte. I'm just gonna leave it there. But
N'Golo Kante, the fan favorite. Have to love the smile. Have to love the story. Maybe
That's
not.
fair.
But and Pavard, I've never even heard of the guy before the World
Scored
Cup.
goal of the tournament.
Yeah, never even heard of him. I mean, that was just absolutely
The best
phenomenal.
part about that goal was that, like, 5 minutes before that, like, Angel Di Maria scores just this absolute rip,
Yeah.
and the commentators like, "Oh my gosh, that might
Yeah.
be goal of the tournament,"
Yeah,
and then he
yeah,
turns around and scores
yeah.
that, and it's just
Yeah.
like that basically encapsulated France. They took what everyone thought was like the perfect way to do something, or the what exactly was going to happen. They just took it and they're like, "No, we're going to win our own way, and we're going to show everyone that we're the best." Were they the most entertaining at all times? Probably not. I mean, there were some times where I was kind of watching them and they were just kind of like knocking it around, not really
Especially
creating.
the first couple games.
Yeah, like the group stage.
Yeah, they drew a lot of criticism early for
The
their
group
lack of
stage,
attacking.
I think first game 2-1, barely off of a
Like an own goal or something
yeah,
like that,
off
and then
of
like,
Paul Pogba like flick and VAR
and then they
yeah.
like drew their last game 0-0 in the group stage, and it was just like they did not look good at all. But once they broke out with that 4-3 victory over Argentina, it was just all uphill from there.
I think them being able to, that game against Argentina, when they were able to beat a team who had in the previous World Cup got all the way to the final, I feel like that kind of gave them a little momentum going into the quarterfinal and beyond for the rest of the tournament, kind of letting them know that they can play with any team when they play up to their best.
Yeah. And the best thing about them is, like, you hear a lot in soccer talks a lot. They say a great team is a team that can win when they don't play well. And there were so many games, well, I mean, there were only 7 games, but there were so many times where you were just, like, watching France and it was like, you just wanted that little bit more. But they just, like, they
found a way to win.
Yeah, they found a way to win. Like, they'd get a lucky own goal, or
Yeah.
they'd get a Samuel Umtiti winner in the semifinal.
That's right.
Or they get like a great save from a Hugo Lloris in the final or something like that. They just come up with that great play at the perfect moment, and then they just found the way to win.
Yeah, I think all great teams have that element to them. That's it.
They actually, now that you just said that, it kind of, this is going to sound funny, but they kind of remind me, now that you say that, about just turning it on, of the Miami Heat when LeBron was on them. Because they just have like that thing. I mean, they don't have, not as far as personnel, but just like as far as they are as a team. Like, you'd watch them and they'd be like, yeah, they're good, but there's some times where they're just like, they were kind of drifting.
It's like walking through the motions.
Yeah, and then, but like if they were down like 15 at halftime, they'd just be like, no, we're not going to lose.
No.
And then they'd just be like, all right, then they go out and win by 15.
When it's time to perform,
Exactly.
they can.
And that's
they
how
can
France.
flick it.
That's how France was this tournament. So, Chad.
Yeah, everything they said I completely agree with. But for me, the team that actually, before I go on to my team, Ian, you talked about England earlier.
Yeah.
What do you think of Harry Kane's performance? He drew a lot. Obviously, he won the Golden Boot, 6 goals, which was great for him and all that. But drew a lot of controversy of not showing up in the big games. What do you? I think he only had 1 goal in the knockout stage.
I believe he had 3 shots in the entire knockout stage.
Yeah.
That's
3 shots
right.
on goal or something.
Just every time I watched him, like I said, I'm just a casual fan, but every time I watched him, I just really he was either not a factor from what I saw, or he just really disappeared in the moments where they needed him.
Yeah, and I left out Harry Kane, and I mean, aside now, you can look at the Golden Boot, but how many of those were pens?
I think he scored like 4 pins.
I think,
or something
I was
crazy
gonna say, I
like
know.
And then there was the one goal where he
that. It hit off the back of his heel as he was just running through.
And another one given to Kane. Remember the Premier League? Yeah, yeah. Now here's the thing. I do like Harry Kane. I think as a leader, especially in that first game, putting 2 in the net, I think that he really he set the tone. But I don't think that he was nearly the best player for England.
Well,
in fact,
I
I was going to say one name that we left out was Kevin Trippier.
Trippier was amazing.
And
Creating chances all the time for England.
yeah,
Offset pieces from open play.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
everything.
was Kevin Trippier and Harry Kane. Now here's another thing. And this is kind of getting off track a little bit, but I think that goals are now believe me, like they can be like Ronaldo, let's say, arguably one of the greatest goal scorers of all time.
I know where you're going with this, yeah.
But how important are goals, like when they're depends, or how highly do we rate a player based upon their goals?
Yeah, like how indicative of a good player.
And those goals were, I mean, I think he's a great player, especially to play at that level. I think he's proven it. He's not a one-season wonder, but I wouldn't even put him top 3 in England.
Well, the thing is that, and I've kind of like thought about this over the past few days, ever since the World Cup ended, is this like, it's great or it's easy now that he's scored all 4 of his penalty, or I guess 5 since he scored that one in the shootout. Like, for us to look back now and say, oh my God, I mean, he just scored 4 pins. How easy is that? But how many games have been won or lost off of a great player missing a penalty? Like Cristiano against Iran, was it? Yeah. It was 2-2 and he gets a penalty and misses. And it's just like, how many of those times did he have to, like, Harry Kane really had to adapt his game, because normally for Tottenham he just sits right in front of the back line, waits to get the ball, and he's the best finisher I've ever seen in my entire life. He can just put the ball wherever he wants in the goal from whatever range, 25 yards and in. But we saw him in the World Cup dropping in, defending, picking up the ball really, really deep, and then taking it forward. I mean, it was just really, it was great to see him wearing the armband and then really, really he wasn't putting the team on his back. He wasn't creating everything, scoring every time he got the ball, anything like that. But he was like doing all the dirty work that Raheem Sterling surely wasn't going to do. Dele Alli definitely wasn't going to do. Stuff like that. And he really encapsulated kind of the English mindset of like, I'm just going to put my head down. I'm going to do the work that I need to do. It might not be the prettiest.
And he's always done that.
Exactly.
He's always done that. But if we're going to put, like, going back to kind of the goals, like, I think that, maybe it wasn't like his goal scoring that was even the best that he did. Maybe it was that dirty work that he had to do. Like again, we put so much on goals, whether it's even a tap in, if it's a great goal. I mean, it can vary. That's for sure. But I think, like you said, there's a lot that he did off the ball. Like, he didn't just score goals or score pens, if we will. But I'm sorry, Chad. It was your question.
Just kind of
most entertaining or team you like to watch the most. I believe was the original question that we were supposed to be asking.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, watching Belgium play was I know that's kind of a.
The thing is, there's no real like dark horse because the tournament's already happened.
That's what I mean.
So it's not,
at this point, like the teams, there's no surprise. The teams that played the best and looked the best on the field usually win.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's if you want us to come up with a team that went out in the group stage, like we're not going to do that.
Good football or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. But to me, Belgium, just watching guys like Kevin De Bruyne control the middle.
That goal that he scored again. What was it? Who did they play in the quarterfinal?
They played
Brazil.
Yeah.
That where he just takes it, no one steps to him. He just.
But you know what the thing that I love about him throughout the tournament and throughout the past couple of years he's been at City that help him create opportunities like that is when he gets the ball, the first thing people worry about is what pass he's going to pick out, what open guy he's going to find, or what guy he's going to pass open. And if you watch that goal against Brazil, they were so worried about him picking someone. That's what I'm saying. They were going scattering to other players. He's just continue dribbling in. He's getting close to the 18. He's like, well, I mean, if no one's going to step to me, I might as well just have one.
Why not now?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's a great point, Chad.
On the ball, he might be
the
second or third best player in the world, just as far as like what he does on.
I would agree.
Like obviously Messi, what he does is just in another class. But like either him or like a David Silva or Andres Iniesta or something like that. Like he has like the touch. Kevin De Bruyne as a player just boggles my mind. He has he can tackle like N'Golo Kante. He can strike a ball like Cristiano Ronaldo. He can pass like a David Silva. He has the intelligence and the like spatial recognition of like a Lionel Messi. He has the touch of like Andres Iniesta, Isco type, and then he can still hit dead balls. He's still decently athletic. He's strong. I mean, as a player, he's just mind-boggling to watch.
Another thing that impressed me about Belgium is they're a team that I'm pretty sure they had never finished as high as they did. This was their highest finish ever, third place in the World Cup. This was seen as like their tournament. This was seen as the tournament for them where they had to prove that this group of players that they had has been worth them talking about for years. Considered the golden age of
generation,
golden generation for Belgium, if you will, and they proved it.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed that they were one of, if not the best team in the whole tournament.
I mean, if they were playing, if them and Croatia switched spots,
then they would have been France and Belgium.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
final. Yeah,
That semifinal, I was going to say earlier, that was
the best game I had seen.
Now that was, we knew going into it, it
Yeah.
was going to be the best game, just because both sides, and they're, again, for Belgium, there's no shame in losing to a France team that very well may be, and one of the best sides that we've ever seen from them.
For sure.
I just to add on to what you said, I think, and Chad made a great point. Like, I think that people De Bruyne is
because of where he plays as an attacking midfielder.
He's one of the only players in the world where he's dangerous when he's not even doing anything.
Yeah.
Or when he just has the ball at his feet, he doesn't have to beat three guys to be dangerous.
It's kind of like what I was talking about with Trae Young earlier. It's like, no matter who has the ball or where the ball is, in the back of your mind, you still have to think, where is Kevin De Bruyne?
Yeah.
Because if he gets it, he's going to do something with it.
Exactly. But with that being said, guys, I think that kind of wraps up our world. Any last thoughts you guys want to give?
I want to just ask a quick little question. Maybe you don't have to go on as long as we did with the other one. But just your favorite moment of the world. Maybe it's just like something somebody did, or like a goal, or anything. Just like your favorite moment of just the whole World Cup.
You can go ahead.
oh gosh,
I already have mine. So.
then you go.
Okay,
ahead,
you go.
because-
For me, I mean, as a Madrid fan, Real Madrid fan, I must say Ronaldo's free kick
In the
against
opener.
in the opener against Spain to cap off the hat trick wasn't even just. I mean, obviously Portugal underperformed completely for what they were supposed to do, but just that game. It was seen as like one of the biggest group stage games in the whole tournament. I mean, Spain and Portugal, you got two powerhouse teams, and just Ronaldo to kind of show that he was up to the task of putting Portugal on his back for that game. I'm not saying he did it for the whole tournament at all, but for that game, just showing that he was able to put Portugal on his back, and he was up to the task of going up against one of the best complete sides in the world. Just to me, kind of showed a lot out of him, and for me, it was kind of a cool moment. It was capped off by the free kick.
Yeah, so mine, I don't know if I could pick an exact moment, but I think if the question was like most exciting.
Yeah.
Now, in this World Cup, one thing that we haven't really touched on, and I'll only say it briefly, is there was a lot of penalties and a lot of.
I think it was a record number of penalties. Yeah.
And so
Like a long shot.
seeing how the VAR turned out, that's something we've never seen before.
Right.
That's something that, I think every single, not only like penalty shootout, but when, you'd see the whole thing get on, it was very controversial, but you have to admit from a viewer standpoint, especially for me being neutral, the United States wasn't in it. So I mean,
That's what made the tournament enjoyable.
Yeah.
Is them not being in it.
And it was pretty exciting from a neutral standpoint to see, whether it was right or wrong, because we saw like a few get wrong, and it's very controversial. Maybe we'll save that for next episode. But I think all of the penalty calls and the penalty shootouts were pretty exciting for me.
Real quickie, what's yours?
Yeah.
I touched on earlier how much I enjoyed Russia when they were playing against Croatia in the quarterfinal, and that dude that got hurt in the first game, I forgot what his name was. Alan Jagoev goes to take the free kick. It's just kind of like, okay, whatever, They're doing their thing, but they're not going to do anything. They're not going to score. Congratulations, Russia. You guys had a great tournament. No one expects you to do this. But then he puts it in, and Mario Fernandes, who was born in Brazil, lived in Brazil like his whole life until like the past like few years, and then he got his Russian citizenship and could play for Russia. Just comes in, flicks it, scores the goal against Daniel Subasic with like one hamstring or whatever he tore or pulled or whatever during the game. And then like all 11 players just sprint into the crowd and the entire stadium's going wild. I mean, it's just like, it was just everything that we love about sports.
The hairs on the back of your neck standing up.
All in one moment. Like, it was an underdog story from a guy with a difficult background.
In a big game.
In a huge game. In a big moment.
In a crucial, like, last minute.
At home with all the passion of the entire nation into this one this one goal that Mario Fernandez scored, and it was just like, wow. I mean, at that point, I thought, when they scored that goal, I was like, if this team won the World Cup, I wouldn't be surprised just because of the passion that they're playing with.
Yeah.
And just how much, because you can see it when you play whatever game with like 50 people in the crowd, when your mom and dad get on, hey, good job, blah, 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 yeah, go, whatever. Then even you get lifted up a little bit then. I mean, with 70, 80,000 Russians screaming your name.
Ice in his veins.
I mean, it was just incredible. It was probably my favorite moment of the entire World Cup.
Well, with that being said, I think that's about all we got for tonight. Guys, we just want to thank you all for tuning in.
Yep.
And we're going to promise to continue to bring you more content. Not promising daily, but we're going to bring you more and more content. So with that being said, thank you guys, and don't forget to tune in next time.